Kurt Fernley is typically humble.
Well, you don't really know how to explain it.
Already an OAM, he's had a promotion of sorts to AO.
It's just a really nice honour to cap off what's been a massive year.
A year that included a gold medal in the Commonwealth Games marathon and a career highlight in co-captaining his country. But the 37-year-old is just as proud of his achievements outside the sporting arena.
I'm a proud Australian and a proud man with a disability. To use the medium of sport to progress that one question, and that one question defines disability really, and that is how far are we as a community willing to allow people with disabilities into it?
Juliana Waugh has also worked tirelessly for change after the death of her daughter in a horse riding accident while training as a Jillaroo nearly a decade ago.
We were driven, me in particular, because Sarah shouldn't have died.
She's been awarded an AM for her work in introducing a code of practice in New South Wales.
So if Australia adopts this nationally, we feel that it'll save lives around Australia.
Other local AM recipients include tertiary educator Dr Bernie Curran and Hunter Valley winemaker Ian Riggs. Dr Kim Ostinger receives an OAM for services to medicine, while another familiar face on the list is Kathy Tate, former Newcastle Lady Mayoress. Former Newcastle top cop John Gralton has been awarded the Police Medal. Other worthy recipients may not be as well known, but their efforts are just as appreciated. A full list of the Hunter residents to be given honours is on our website.
Once we've mapped where they are, well then we've got some questions to answer as to what next and whether salvage is feasible and whether it's possible in the instances. There's certainly been a big clean-up operation, and as I said, it could go on for some time yet. What we don't see in New South Wales is so many being lost so close to the shoreline, which makes this quite a unique situation for us.
The Hunter has a heart of gold. Local donations to the Cancer Council have hit a record high, well over $2 million a year.
It's overwhelming to see the amount of support that we get and to see that grow year on year. I think we're at a stage in the Hunter region where we really can't ask the community for any more than what they're doing.
Given that strong support, local job cuts are even harder to swallow. 4 Cancer Council employees are going. That's almost half the staff at the Charlestown office, including Regional Manager Shane Connell. He's been a driving force behind countless fundraisers and education programs and helped abolish tanning beds.
For me, some of the proudest moments have actually been, establishing cancer support groups that are really running quite strongly now.
Statewide, there's been a 50% drop in bequests. That led to the restructure. Devastated volunteers fear the job losses will jeopardise fundraising.
We'll be lost without the support from Shane and the staff. I don't know how the programs will run.
Cancer Council staff work long hours, including today's public holiday, coordinating events such as the Stars of Newcastle Dance for Cancer.
I am concerned that the events can't run, not to the capacity that they do. The funds that we need to support the research in cancer and, finding a cure, that's what we're here, that's what we're working for.
But it's really important to let the community know that our services and our programs, particularly for cancer patients and carers, will continue as normal.
Jane Goldsmith, NBN News.
Trekking around Mount Tomaree is about to get easier, with the government revealing the state budget will include $6.7 million to link and improve around 23 kilometres of coastal track, making Port Stephens a premier hiking destination.
The aim is to link up as much as that as possible, so as to say you've got 23 kilometres where you can do over a day or a couple of days.
The upgrade will be spread out, with completion due in 2022. The state will also work with the Warramai Aboriginal community, so the trails feature the region's Indigenous history. And there'll be information points at lookouts along the way.
I think more international people will be encouraged to come here to appreciate the natural beauty of the Australian bush and the natural beauty of our coastline.
It's hoped by promoting ecotourism, the region's short-stay holiday numbers will also receive a boost.
This might be the opportunity for them to spend some more time to view, some of the things in our area, and stay a little bit longer and spend a few more dollars in the area and boost our economy. So that'd be terrific.
Samantha Long, NBN News.
Track was really, it was just like I've been saying, it was brutal. The square edge holes, like I say, 100k mark there, it caught me out on one of them and high-sided me up into the bushes and stuff. So yeah, just banged my hand up a little bit.
In the south of France sits the picturesque port city of Marseille, as beautiful as it has been fruitful for Will Ryan and Matt Belcher.
Matt and I did our first regatta together here in 2010. I filled in for his previous sailing partner, Mal Page, and my first chance sailing with Matt, and we ended up winning that regatta.
Fast forward 8 years to the final day of the World Series Cup. Crews in the men's 470 class were plagued by fluky winds, testing them to the limit.
Very diverse and quite a big mix, so it's kind of put us in a good opportunity to learn as much as we could across a full wind range of lighter conditions than what we get back home. And hopefully we can use that in the years ahead, but I can't tell you too many secrets.
Those secrets obviously pay dividends for the victorious Aussies.
Pretty cool feeling to win this event. I don't know, maybe we've won it once before, so no, it's really nice.
The focus now turns to the peak sailing season of August, where teams hope to secure selection for the 2020 Olympics.
It's a really important one. It gives you a bit of that security in your planning towards the games if you can get that selection locked in early.
All while adjusting to changes in the sport.
It's been a bit of a change over the last 4 to 6 years. The physicality's become a lot more. Crews just used to be as skinny as you could, and that was the right option. Now it's as skinny as you can, but still strong enough to pump. So this morning I went for a little bike ride here in Marseille, which has been really pretty, and check out a few vineyards along the way. So no, it's been really nice.
Newcastle's landmarks covered by a thick blanket of fog. The obelisk not much of a vantage point this morning, Stockton Bridge almost unrecognisable. From Bulwarra Heights to the city, photo opportunities were endless. But the spectacle didn't come without its dramas. The travel plans of nearly 1,000 passengers were left up in the air as Newcastle Airport was shrouded in white.
At the moment, we're not even sure whether we're going to get home today.
It was arrival of flights that proved difficult, with several delayed. A Jetstar plane from Melbourne was the first to touch down, 3 hours late.
We had to do a holding pattern and Virgin was below us, and if they couldn't land and we couldn't land because of the fog.
Happy to be off the flight, straight into work. A little bit late, but yeah, I'm happy to be home.
We did a lot of circling. I didn't realise how close the ocean was to Newcastle.
Just after 11 a.m. this morning, most of the fog had cleared, with airport operations returning to normal. But it's just the start of a mixed week of weather for the Hunter.
We have a real changeable week on the way, some lovely conditions and getting a little bit warmer, still some very cold mornings, but it is going to be incredibly cold by the time we get to the weekend. We've got a real polar snap on the...
Talia Sav, NBN News.
It wasn't until I obtained Freedom of Information documents that it showed that that decision had been made not to do anything until 2021.
A picturesque spot and one in need of some TLC. But this lacklustre skate park at South Newcastle Beach will soon get a radical overhaul.
A skate park spread out across the beach, I mean, it doesn't get more perfect than that.
A skateboarder's dream, the park will be a day and night attraction, complete with a kiosk and outdoor exercise equipment. The latest addition to the Bathers Way project, it's taken the council years to get it across the line.
As a lot of people in Newcastle know, we had a vision many years ago, and we're really pleased with this funding today that we can actually announce that construction can now start on this part of the project.
This has taken a number of goes. Newcastle City Council have persisted and pleased to announce $5 million from the New South Wales Government.
The $20 million project was in part designed by skating royalty Russell Grundy and John Bogart.
It's the first wheelchair-friendly bowl that's been designed and is being built in Australia, and I think I can see the potential for a world-class international street skating competition here.
There are a bunch of us that are aiming to go to the 2020 Olympics too, so these little bowls will help us a lot.
Georgia Ma, NBN News.
Nestled in the heart of the Hunter Valley, a haven for one of the world's most humble creatures. The sanctuary is home to almost 80 donkeys and runs purely on donations and hard work. But providing food, shelter and a little bit of TLC isn't cheap.
At the moment we're looking at, at least a monthly budget of around $3,000, give or take obviously, depending whether we need any extra veterinary assistance for anybody that might get sick or need extra feed, especially with winter coming on.
The sad reality is funds are drying up, and now these Good Samaritans are facing a heartbreaking prospect.
We are having to face the unruly decision to close our gates to any donkeys that require our assistance, to have to turn somebody away because we can't afford it. It'd be devastating, be absolutely devastating. So hopefully we don't have to get to that.
To keep the gates open, the community is being asked to lend a helping hand.
If anyone can spare anything from a little bit of money to even a little bit of time to assist these guys, at the end of the day, they've been a beast of burden for the human race for centuries. And I feel that it's time that we give back.
If you can help, just head to the sanctuary's website. Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
It's a bond like no other. A man and his faithful dog side by side on the fire ground. A connection that made today's goodbye so much harder.
We've been together for pretty much since I had him. Just not having him around. Jeez. It's harder than I thought.
After developing epilepsy 18 months ago, Earl is no longer able to work as an accelerant detection dog. So, reluctantly, his handler, Tim Garrett, who'll have to break in a new partner, started looking for families to adopt him. Following a thorough selection process, he found the Fawcett's, and today they met their new mate.
Because the bond between Earl and I has been so strong, for him to translate that to another family, I think would have been a bit more difficult with more people. So the fact that it was just the three of them and they're so close to the beach and they're active, it certainly seemed like a good fit.
Earl already has a special connection with Nicole. She's a firefighter.
He's perfect. I just thought he would fit into our family so wonderfully. He's 5 years old. We don't have to do the puppy thing, and he's ready to go.
While 9-year-old Ava is also happy to have a new friend.
He's a really nice and sweet dog.
All of that love making the separation slightly more bearable.
Yeah, I don't think there's any concern there. He'll have a good life.
Emma Murphy, NBN News.
Watching the game, you wouldn't know it. A Band-Aid, the slightest indication of the drama of the night before. A cut on Lachlan Fitzgibbon's face took a nasty turn and he ended up with a staph infection.
Blew up my face the night before the game, which wasn't ideal. My face was out here and the doc went up to Lake Macquarie Private and probably wasn't ideal. I had a drip in my hand the night before I had to play footy. Prior to the game, the doc cut me open and tried to get the rest of it out and stitch me up. So it ended up being, it worked out all right.
Not the ideal preparation indeed, but Fitzgibbon still managed an 80-minute performance. The born and bred Novocastrian loves playing for the Knights and wants to be a one-club man.
I want to be here till, we're premiers again, and I want to win a comp here and do all the things you want to do at such a great club, and especially being my hometown club, it'll be something even more special.
Something special is brewing this Sunday, a potential clash between the master, Billy Slater, and the apprentice, Kalen Ponga.
It's a match-up made in heaven, isn't it, really? It's going to be a good game, and hopefully Kalen gets one up on him because you know, we need that as a team, and it'll go a long way to us, you know, winning the game.
Kate Haberfield, NBN News.
They've all played plenty of basketball, but never in a kit quite like this.
It's really great to be able to wear something like this for a good cause.
The striking colours are that of the John Hunter Children's Hospital. The Hunters will be raising money for its young patients on Saturday night, adding extra motivation to a crucial matchup for the men's team against current ladder leaders and potential playoff opponents, the Hills Hornets.
You don't want to give anybody any extra, mental edge over you, heading over. We're taking it very serious.
The last time they met the Hornets, they lost by 19, but that was in the second game of a double-header and without import star Austin Thornton.
We don't make excuses out on the court. We all played the game and we lost. They played better than us that night, so we'll just try to play better this time.
The women's side will play before the men, also against the Hornets. Their last encounter saw the Hunters win by 38 points, but they aren't getting ahead of themselves. Currently fourth on the ladder, they know another win is crucial as they begin looking towards the playoffs.
Coming into the pointy end of the season, it's always on our minds. But yeah, we are putting the hard efforts at training.
We're not going to be complacent. The girls understand what's at stake, and in our league, you've got to respect every team that you come across.
They've etched their names into the history books, setting a world record and even becoming world champions. For John DeMandel and Paul McGlynn, the success hasn't gone unnoticed by organisers of one of the sport's most illustrious events.
It was an incredible honour. Challenge Roth is an Ironman distance race, and it's one of the most prestigious Ironman distance races in the world.
Just 2 weeks later, they'll back it up, heading to Denmark to defend their world title.
We won that in Canada last year, so hopefully we'll bring back another championship medal for the green and gold.
Visually impaired DeMandel and his pilot McGlynn partnered up 2 years ago, and since then they've gone from strength to strength.
This is going to be a big test to see if we can back up 2 weeks after to do another long course race.
We swim really well together. We're riding extremely well at the moment, and I think the run should be there too.
There's nothing stopping this dynamic duo from setting the bar even higher.
Goal under 11 hours. We're the first visually impaired athletes to go under 11 hours. We'd like to do that again.
If we win a medal, we win a medal. If we get a title, we get a title. That to me is not the most important thing. Participating is one of the most important things, and doing well within ourselves.
Meredith Gibbs, NBN News. Police wasted no time hunting for clues last night to a crime which has horrified a community and forever changed a young girl's life.
It's quite a worrying crime committed in broad daylight.
At 9:15 yesterday morning, the 11-year-old was walking through Hudson Park near Bel Air Public School when she was threatened at knife point by a man and sexually assaulted.
She was then placed into a red-coloured vehicle, possibly a Commodore, taken from that scene to another area of bushland, inquiries into which we are still undertaking.
The victim was then sexually assaulted again. 5 hours later, she was released at Katara train station.
She's doing remarkably well. She is a very brave young lady who has intensely assisted the police in a remarkable way throughout the evening.
The girl has told officers her attacker was chubby with dark, short, messy hair, had wrinkles on his forehead and around his mouth, and stains on his teeth. He was wearing a distinctive hoodie. This morning, news of the horrific attack filtered through the close-knit community.
We only heard about it this morning. It's dreadful, really frightening, because I know that a lot of the kids walk down between the two schools.
They pretty much just said, maybe don't let the kids walk to school on their own.
As students streamed into nearby schools, forensic police scoured the area and a witness provided a vital clue.
It was a red Holden Commodore, I think, and it had work done to it. The wheels weren't standard. They looked like they were magged with red inserts in them, and they had red seat covers. I noticed that the back door was open, the back passenger side door was open, and I thought someone would be in there, but I couldn't see any heads there, so I just walked by.
Police believe community assistance may prove key to solving this case and are calling for anyone who can help to come forward.
It's our mission to get this person, appealing to those who use dash cams that may have taken images they're not aware of just yet, which may give us some indication of where the continuing offences occurred against this young woman.
Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
Ten months after his trial began, Jeremy Coleman's legal team today began its final pitch to the jury. And the message was the same as it was last August, that the only reason Dr. Coleman conducted examinations on patients was for a medical reason. Barrister Pauline David told jurors it's extraordinary that when you boil it down, there is nothing that suggests there was anything of a sexual nature, either by conduct or language used towards the complainants. The 64-year-old immunologist stands accused of 60 counts of sexual or indecent assault allegedly committed against 46 female patients between 1989 and 2013 at his Watt Street clinic. Ms. David told the jury the case is not about suspicion or, as the Crown claimed, of what was in Dr. Coleman's mind at the time. It's about facts and evidence that is of a standard you can rely on. The defence claims many of the accusations levelled against Coleman came during what it described as public hysteria surrounding the case, describing it as a highly charged and highly inflammatory atmosphere. Ms. David said when you take that away, what you are left with is a doctor going about his business in a very committed and comprehensive way. The defence will continue its closing address tomorrow. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
This service enables us to reach right into all the regional areas of New South Wales and support those patients to ensure they can access the very best standard of healthcare from across the state.
From above, it's easy to see Thornton is booming. And according to figures released by the Housing Industry Association, the Maitland suburb and Millers Forest are the top locations in the Hunter for those choosing to build. Over the 2016-17 financial year, the area saw almost $83 million in building approvals and a population growth of 5.3%.
Wirraway, Waterford County and a whole range of other land projects that have been occurring in Maitland are helping that area be a really popular spot for homeowners.
Next on the list in the Hunter, Maryland, Fletcher and Minmi. Not only are they proving popular places to build, a property at Fletcher recently sold for $950,000, a record price for the suburb.
The Hunter is doing extremely well. We've got strong population growth, as we've reported in this report, but also continue to have low interest rates and really affordable land. Combining that with strong industries, employment growth, we still expect that the Hunter will be a strong spot for the next couple of years.
Combined, Newcastle and Cooks Hill are also identified as a hotspot, with $58.4 million in approvals. And a preview of this year's statistics shows that figure has already more than doubled, thanks to the city's revitalisation works. Emma Murphy, NBN News.
What if your glass bottles could be used to hold key pipes in place? It's called glass sand, and it's Lake Macquarie Council's answer to our nation's recycling stockpile.
A solution that we can generate in our own region to some of those national issues, and we hope that they can be replicated across the nation.
Billed as sustainable and cost-effective, Cessnock, Dungog, Maitland, Singleton and Central Coast councils were all on hand today to see glass sand in use.
So what that means is we place it underneath our drainage pipes, and that helps to protect the pipe once it's been backfilled. You think of a family. They're all having their drinks and they're having bottles. They put them in the bin gets collected, and then we get that material, it's recycled and it comes back here. So it's war on waste.
Around 12,000 tonnes of glass is collected across the Hunter every year. It's hoped that if all councils adopted this sand substitute, all of that would be reused and recycled.
We need to look at all our waste environment, and this is a great way of us reusing and recycling.
Lake Macquarie Council is also assessing other ways glass can be used for infrastructure.
We'll be looking at a road base, our shared cycleways, and looking at ways that we can use recycled material in that construction.
Samantha Long, NBN News.
Sparks flew the last time they squared off. Now the spotlight will shine even brighter on the battle between Billy Slater and Kalen Ponga.
Everyone's been throwing up his name to play Origin, and we're the selectors, myself, certainly aware of his ability. It's just a matter of when the right time is to blood him. Is it in game 2? Well, it could very well be. We'd like to introduce him at some stage to the Origin arena. Well, he's a great... we can't hold him back for too much longer, I will say that.
His red and blue teammates are backing him.
Obviously, he's got the talent, the footwork, speed and the skill. But I like he's real cool, calm, collected off the field, and he's just got that ability to flick the switch as soon as he steps over the line to really become a professional. And I think that says a lot about his character.
Character is key for the Knights this week ahead of their Storm showdown. Slade Griffin's bone-crunching tackle has been played on repeat.
Yeah, he showed me about 4 or 5 times. That gets everyone, amped up and excited and puts us on the front foot.
That's probably what we've kind of been lacking, is those special plays, doing whatever it takes to stop tries, and Slade certainly put his hand up there.
We want that beach atmosphere, that's Newcastle. We want the blue sky, the green grass, the colour, action, and that's what Supermatto is all about.
The power of words. This 7-person hip-hop crew wants the public to take notice.
People with disability, people with intellectual disability in particular, a chance to have their voice and to speak up.
Speak Up Hunter is a peer support group run for and by people with a disability. This Is My World is their creation, lyrics and all.
Well, the beauty with hip-hop is that it conveys a message, and it's a medium where it's accessible for everyone.
I mean, I see potential of every person with a disability, and that they just want to live their lives to the fullest.
Each member has a dream, a point to get across. They gathered today to watch the clip for the first time before its official launch tomorrow.
I always have tears in my eyes. I get overly excited and I get a little bit emotional about me.
Samantha Long, NBN News.
A hug between a mother and child lasting a little longer than usual. Parents took no chances this morning, holding their kids tight right to the school gates.
I think we're all just scared. Yeah, I didn't want to let my little boy go in without making sure he was in there safely.
The sense of fear almost palpable as news of Tuesday's horrific attack on an 11-year-old girl continues to spread through the area.
There's so many people walk across the park of a morning and you think you would be safe.
Specialist officers from the Sex Crime Squad in Sydney today scoured for clues as a sex predator remains at large.
We are throwing every piece of resource we have at it until we identify this person, arrest this person and put him before the court.
Letters have been dropped off at homes, police appealing for help from a community on edge.
I mean, you want this person picked up as quickly as possible, so whatever they've got to do, I hope they're doing it.
We're searching as far and wide as need be. They may not have seen anything on the day of this event, but they may have seen something previous to that will help. Regardless of how remote they may think it is, it may be our missing piece of our jigsaw.
As for the girl, police say she's receiving counselling and they've praised her tremendous bravery as she continues to help with their investigation. The attacker is described as a man with a chubby build, dark, short, messy hair, some wrinkles and smelling of cigarettes and body odour.
Until we find this person, I'd be more vigilant in that area. I'd be more vigilant. I'd be sitting down with my children and setting out some ground rules about where they can go, where they can't go.
Talia Sarv, NBN News.
This is where police believe the shooting took place last night. Residents near this intersection of Acacia Avenue and Alois Street at Waratah West reported hearing gunshots at around 11 o'clock. Around the same time, a 24-year-old man was dropped off at the Calvary Mater Hospital, which is less than 2 kilometres away, suffering gunshot wounds to his hand and shoulder. While he was being treated for his injuries, police set up a crime scene here and launched an investigation. It's understood some residents reported seeing a group of men fighting, then a car speeding away. The 24-year-old victim was transferred to a Sydney hospital earlier today. While his injuries aren't considered life-threatening, they are serious enough that he's still yet to be formally interviewed by police. They're asking anyone who has information to come forward. Graham Lawrence has always maintained his innocence, and today the 75-year-old stood before a judge, formally pleading not guilty to 2 charges. One of aggravated indecent assault on a person under the age of 16, the other aggravated sexual assault on a person under 16. The former Anglican Dean of Newcastle was arrested and charged by Strikeforce Arinya detectives in November last year. He's accused of indecently and sexually assaulting a 15-year-old boy between April and December 1991 in the Hunter Valley. Today, Lawrence's solicitor, John Anthony, told the court the trial is likely to run for around 2 weeks due to the large number of witnesses expected to give evidence. It was set down for June 17 next year. Lawrence remains on bail but did have several conditions changed. The 75-year-old doesn't need to report to police but did need to surrender his passport. He's also prohibited from applying for a new one and isn't allowed to approach any point of departure from the country. The matter will return to court next April. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
Down the track as well, if anything comes ashore, that we pick it up quickly and then we give them some confidence around what we're doing with trying to locate those containers that are still unaccounted for at this stage.
While most of us were sleeping, the heavy work got underway, with a 6.5-tonne roof lowered by crane onto a steel structure at Civic. The light of day revealed its true purpose, making up one of the main stops on the light rail network.
You can see the roof structure's up now and things are starting to take shape.
Situated between Civic train station and the theatre, it's the first of 6 stops to be built along the route.
We're starting to get a lot more construction done now. We've kind of hit that component where we're in a system that seems to be working really well. We've got out of the ground in most places, so that risk has been overcome.
More change can be seen at Civic, with footpaths now sealed, while a development application is also being considered by Newcastle Council to transform the old train station into a public plaza.
Some of the traders in this area have struggled a little bit, but as we stand here, we watch cars drive by, we watch pedestrians walking up and down.
The next stop will be built at Honeysuckle in July.
I'm hoping by the end of the year we're completely done with the construction, but again, weather, all those other issues that come into building anything are always a challenge.
Talia Sarv, NBN News.
It was a result that heartened the coach, players and fans alike, but a week on, that's little comfort.
At the end of the day, we're a results-driven sport. Now that we've got that belief from last week, I feel like we know the formula and what we need to do to win football games.
Midway through the season, the finals picture is forming. The Knights are still in the hunt, especially with Mitchell Pearce's return drawing nearer.
You don't really talk about those things. Your actions are what comes to the forefront there. We've played top 8 football the last 2 weeks. Before that, we probably weren't. We firmly believe now if 17 blokes show up willing to play and have their head around a 80-minute effort and working hard for each other, we have the belief that we can win football games.
Luke Yates echoes that.
Yeah, the boys definitely, there's a bit of a buzz around the joint.
He's been named on the bench in place of the injured Jamie Buhrer. Coming off contract, he's desperate to prove himself.
That's the plan, obviously. There's definitely a spot there and I want to put my hand up and take it. I'm still young and I'm still learning a lot, so with Jamie being out, I'm going to take that as an opportunity for myself.
One of local football's fiercest rivalries was forced to a neutral venue last night, with Magic Park unavailable. Once play commenced though, Broadmeadow still looked right at home. Olympic Simon Mooney was forced off injured. His teammates pushed on without him. Mitch Oxborough was denied by the wall on his second free kick attempt, so on the third, he took the low road and it paid off. That was minutes before the break, but the half was far from over. Olympic had a goal denied when keeper Paul Bitts was injured. He stayed on, but couldn't stop the next effort from Jed Hornery on the stroke of half-time. With the sides all square, extra time loomed in the second. That was until this. John Majorowski headed home the winner and went straight to the bench to celebrate with coach Ruben Zadkovic. Penalties were needed to split Charlestown and Lambton, where Danny Ireland was the hero. He saved 3 from the spot to seal the Blues' breakthrough round of 32 berth.